We are here today to speak. This is, I think, the second year that we are doing this, to speak about the possibilities of having a dialogue between the anarchist tradition and the Marxist tradition in a pluralistic way, in a way that transcends sectarianism, in a way that is looking for possible creation of possible spaces of dialogue between these two traditions, and even some commonalities, but in any case a way of people thinking together and maybe even trying to create not one, not two, many different syntheses between anarchism and Marxism. My favorite is something that I started recently calling libertarian socialism for 21st century, but there are many, and I hope many more to come. My name is Andrej Grubačić. I'm a member of IWW, Industrial Workers of the World. I'm also among many other things, now in the process of starting a popular university in San Francisco, where I'm based right now at the moment, together with Cindy Milstein and Roxanne Dunbar-Ortiz, who are here on the panel. Cindy Milstein is a long-time anarchist organizer, one of the people who are most prominent in the excellent project called the Institute for Anarchist Studies, which is trying to induce the spirit of anti-sectarianism in the anarchists, or within the anarchist tradition. And she was affiliated loosely or closely with Institute for Social Ecology back in the day when Institute for Social Ecology was a really wonderful example of what anarchist left could be, could have become. Roxanne Dunbar-Ortiz is an author of many books, all of them wonderful. Some of them are memoirs about being radical in the 60s, being an outlaw woman back in the day, in the 60s and in the 70s, and she remained an outlaw woman to this day. She's a great inspiration to many of us who are trying to figure out ways of creating a radical and truly revolutionary left. Not the left that Jesse Jackson was talking about last night, but a different kind of left that's going to be truly revolutionary, that is going to deal with the real issues of state power, real issues of classless organizing for a classless society, real issues of giving ourselves passionately to the freedom in the most generous and most fulfilling way. So I will wait for Andrew Curley to introduce him, but we thought that the way to start our sessions and to organize them, the best way would be to have each speaker speak for 20 minutes, and then after that to have a very short dialogue, maybe 2 minutes, after each one, and then a presenter would respond to questions. It's a model that we just learned from Michael Albert and others in Reimagining Society Z Magazine session, and it was quite successful. So we would like to start with Roxanne. And again, Andrew Curley will be joining us, hopefully.
Maybe folks want to shift that way, because I think this is going to happen where people are going to come in late, so it might be nice if we're kind of clumped that way. And if you're disgruntled with the conversation, feel free to leave again.
Then we have to ask, should we move this?
Oh, it's not a microphone.
It's not a microphone.
All right, I hope everyone can you hear me? Can I talk louder? A little. Hold up your hand if you can't hear me. A little louder. Okay. I'll wait for the noise. Maybe if the door is closed.
Yeah, that would help.
I'll say something.
Wow. Wow, thank you for coming. Are you all fans of Andre? Is that why you're here?
Roxanne.
He's a popular guy. Or maybe it's a subject matter. I'm Roxanne. As Andre said, I've been writing, I'm an old-time activist from the 60s, and since the 60s I've mainly done indigenous work from Oklahoma, part indigenous, and our other panelist coming, Andrew Curley, is in a a socialist, anarchist, Marxist, he'll tell you. So I'm not going to focus on indigenous because he is, but that's mainly what I've been doing. So in my history work, I have a doctorate in history, and I taught, actually set up an ethnic studies department, taught Native American studies, but I'm a historian by training. And I decided in the early 90s, when things were pretty low in terms of movement, that I would start trying to write history in a different way. I wasn't satisfied with people's history because I thought it didn't tell, it didn't get to the fact this is a settler society, which is the indigenous point of view, and it didn't provide that. How could I tell these stories? Well, my father's a settler. My father is a Scots-Irish settler, came across the Appalachian, ended up in Oklahoma. But his father was in the IWW. So I started telling these stories and other people's stories as a way of telling history. So I'm gonna do, have that approach today, just to explain why. I'm not just talking about myself, but telling history in another way. And I have written it out so I don't go over my time, so hope you don't mind that. Well, as long as I can remember, I have been an anarchist, long before I learned when I was around 18. My grandfather had been a member of the Industrial Workers of the World, as well as the Socialist Party in Oklahoma, having joined the Socialist Party in the early 1900s and became a wobbly when the IWW was founded in 1905. Most people don't know this history of Oklahoma, but it was a hotbed of anarcho-syndicalism and socialism. He named my father's name, this will ring a bell with some of you, Moyer, Haywood, Pettibone, Scarberry, Dunbar. Those are the founders of the IWW. That was in August 1907 when my father was born, and that's when the wobbly leaders were on trial in Boise, Utah. My grandfather was not an intellectual or an organizer. Rather, he was a farmer, a veterinarian, a settler from the settler class, Scots-Irish, born of generations of frontier settlers, many of whom kept moving west from their original settlements in the Appalachians in the 17th and 18th century. Always small farm owners. These those frontier settlers really didn't settle down for very long. They didn't have plantations. They didn't become a part of the ruling class. They were and always kind of dissatisfied with everything. By the late 19th century, Oklahoma agriculture had become industrialized, with large tracts of land turned to cotton production, while the rest of the land was pumped for oil or dug up with coal mining, making the agrarian dream of the Anglo-American settler class a nightmare. Both the socialists and the IWW more or less working in tandem in Oklahoma, won masses of small and landless farmers, oil workers, and miners, and my grandfather was one. My grandfather died before I was born, but I grew up in a small rural Oklahoma community where he had settled a large extended family. My father, a sharecropper, and oil truck driver, still wedded to the land. My father inherited the rural storytelling tradition and told me stories of his father's volatile life as an early-day wobbly and socialist. My father never finished high school. He read only second grade. So the lessons I received politically were simple. Never trust the government, or what we would call the state, and abolish the banks. Indeed, a large centralized government should not exist, nor should armies, and the working people would bind together and form their own societies and do just fine without authorities or police or military or anything else.